Hello, welcome to Coffee with Vic. I'm your host, Vic Vogel. This is Mother's Day, and so I got to wondering whether everybody really understood the origin of Mother's Day. So uh, let's take a moment and see where Mother's Day began. That's coming up next on Coffee with Vic. Let's take a few moments and let me take you into a brief slide presentation. And the origination of this slide presentation will be in the description below, so that you can go look up all this information on yourself. I took this from a particular website. But it was interesting. It's a pretty valuable website, and I thought it was really interesting taking a look at where Mother's Day began and kind of how it's evolved over the years up until now. Let's take a few moments and jump to that presentation right now.
Well, happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. Have you ever wondered how Mother's Day came about? How did this happen? Where did it begin? And how did it progress to where it is today? Well, I did, so I thought I would check it out. And this is some of the results. What was the origination of Mother's Day? Well, it really all first began somewhere around the Greek and Roman times. Both the Greeks and the Romans celebrated mother goddesses, Rhea and Cybele, I think it is, respectively. And these ladies were celebrated as goddesses, celebrated as mother goddesses, but they were also known as fertility goddesses. Now, modern day precedent is the Christian festival Mothering Sunday, which was a major holiday in some parts of Europe and the United Kingdom, celebrated on the fourth Sunday in Lent, which was seen as a time when the faithful would return to their mother church, the one closest to their home. And this all began a long time ago. But it is something that has kind of permeated Europe, and it is really a conversion out of the paganism into Christianity, the same way history has evolved that movement. So this holiday began to pick up Christian connotations to it. Early on, behind the Romans and the Greeks and the Romans. Now, the American version began to be practiced in the early 19th century, which is quite a bit of time lapsed from its original start. And this was prior to the Civil War in the early 1800s. And during this time, a woman named Jarvis developed Mother's Day work clubs to teach women how to care for their children. And later, Jarvis in 1868 established Mother's Friendship Day, which was mothers who gathered with former Union and Confederate soldiers. And the primary principle was to promote reconciliation after the war, somewhere around 1868 or somewhere in that vicinity, when all of this movement began to happen. Now, Anna Jarvis, the daughter of Anne Reeves Jarvis, began to push Mother's Day and wanted to be a national holiday. And she started doing this in the early 1900s. I think Anne Reeves Jarvis passed away around 1905, somewhere in there, and Anna Jarvis picked this up as something she wanted to do for her mother, to carry on the legacy, to show respect and for what her mother had done through all the years to establish this Mother's Day concept. But later, after it was established and moving, she began to denounce the holiday because of its commercialism and try to get it removed actually from the holiday calendar. So she was very upset that this whole concept that her mother had generated turned into, buying flowers and things like that. There were a lot of people pushing Mother's Day besides Anna Jarvis during this period of time. And even when Anne Reeves Jarvis was pushing it, there were others. There was another precursor of Mother's Day that came from the abolitionist movement, Julia Howe. In 1870, Howe wrote the Mother's Day Proclamation, a call to action that asked mothers to unite and promote world peace. And all through these times, up till around 1914, there were a whole bunch of people who were jumping in and beginning to partake of Mother's Day and supporting it financially, the flower industry and food industries and a bunch of other people like that. And so finally, President Woodrow Wilson, signed a measure declaring the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day in 1914, and it has been that way ever since. So, despite some of the strife and some of the frustrations that went into Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day.
Okay, I hope you found that interesting. Just a little tidbit here we can share over the coffee table at Coffee with Vic. I'm coming to you from the Brighton Coffee House and Theater. It's a very nice coffee house if you want to come down here. They have great food, great coffee. They have entertainment on a lot of evenings, particularly the weekend, a variety of things. You can see behind me, he's displayed a bunch of local school art. So he's very involved in the community, or they're very involved in the community. So journey on down and visit with them. And thanks for joining me here on Coffee with Vic to find out where Mother's Day began. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, enjoy your coffee. Go down and find your favorite coffee house. You make a lot of friends down there. Till next time. This is Coffee with Vic. I'm your host, Vic Vogel.